Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply, and this video is to bring you a closer look at the DCI. Their part number 3470X. This is a automatic door holder, and it is one of a family of 4 automatic door holders available. And let's take a look and see what this is all about. So the 3470 happens to be the door holder that is going to work on an incredibly tall door to floor clearance condition, an incredibly large one. Not necessarily incredibly large, because you could literally have a floor condition that when the door gets into the position that you want to hold the door open, the floor slopes away, so when the door is closed you have a standard undercut, but by the time you get the door to 90 degree, yeah, it could be a couple of inches. And in fact, this model is intended for undercuts as a result of this giant piece of solid brass that, in this case, is satin chrome plated, is capable of handling undercuts from 1 5/8 all the way to 2 1/16. And this strike exactly is what differentiates this from its sister products, the 3468, 3469, no, 3467, 68, 69, and 70. They're different only in how the door bottom to floor clearance dimension changes. So the business end of this is the same. The actual holder portion is the same, or the latch portion from all 4 of those. This is a door-mounted unit that is going to feature a roller down here with a spring, and when I put my thumb on the roller and I push it in, it's going to compress that spring. And it's difficult, obviously, to compress that, but that's how this works. So in essence, what this is going to look like, is this sort of business. And what makes this appropriate for those undercuts is a confluence of not that you can position this a 1/2 inch up and down. It's a confluence of where it is recommended that this be positioned on the door with the rubber bumper that's closed cell neoprene in relationship to how far above the bottom of the door it hangs. This won't be down flush with the door at all. And then the height of the strike. So you're going to look like this when you're installed. Okay. And it's that sort of installation. So when the door closes, it obviously hits that roller, compresses the roller up, and then it stays tucked in right behind it. Okay. So that's where that's going to be used. And I suppose what I'm driving at is the relationship between the tip of the strike and the front of the housing when the door closes. That relationship's really never going to change. And it's always going to look like this. It's just a matter of where on the door you're going to position this. So there's obviously going to be a commonality between the 4 units in relationship to the bottom of the holder to the bottom of the door, expressed by the 4 different heights of the strikes that are available. Okay, so this will get mounted. You know that you've got to have the tip of the strike just clear of the housing to secure it in. The variable is then determined when you place this on the door to achieve the compatibility of the 2 pieces coming in contact with each other. Okay, this is almost all solid brass. The housing is certainly all cast brass with a satin chrome plating on it. The client just ordered a couple of these and had a pool condition and said, I need something completely that won't rust. And I'm not aware of anything that will not rust in terms of being completely non-ferrous, but very little steel on here. Those rivets are obviously steel that hold the stop on. That spring behind there is obviously steel, but everything else is non-ferrous, either brass or maybe zinc. I don't know what that roller pin is manufactured of, but it's non-ferrous. It could be zinc. I doubt it's stainless. The strike, again, that's going to be certainly completely solid cast brass. Now, there is information down below: automatic door holder, 1 5/8 to 2 1/16 door to floor clearance. The holder is mounted on the door and the strike on the floor. They do have a door-mounted unit and a wall-mounted unit, which we'll talk about in a moment. Easy to operate with a push and pull on the door for open and release. That is true, it is easy to operate, but this would really probably be best used in commercial applications because I've installed this type of product and they're not quiet when you're setting them and pulling them off. So a residential application with a wood floor, that might be a lot louder than what you were expecting to have in a residential application, and probably far too much hardware. Although quite durable and is going to last for the life of the house. Easy operation, yes, we talked about that. Die-cast brass construction for heavy traffic areas. It is a robust piece of hardware that's made of solid brass. Universal mounting package for all types. So they're going to give us, for the door, they're going to give us 4 wood screws with like a truss head type head, and then 4 machine screws with a similar truss head. Now, if I were to have one comment I would make, I would prefer that there not be 4 slotted holes, but 2, and then 2 fixed holes. I would use my 2 slotted holes to position, test for operation, then drill, and then install into the fixed holes. That, in my opinion, would be a better way to go. I don't believe that I need to maintain the height of this or alter or adjust the height of this over the life of the opening. The floor condition, the undercut condition shouldn't change. I suppose a flooring condition could change if you were ripping out carpet and putting in hardwood, but that would be unusual. The door could sag over time, but that's really not going to affect the need to readjust this, and if it does, the door probably doesn't close if the hinge is worn that much. So I would prefer if it was 2 fixed holes. Then there's that link below this video to the product catalog, but before we get to it, the universal screw package for the strike, you're going to get for that, you're going to get wood screws, so that'll be easy if you're going to go into a wood floor, or tile if you come up with plastic anchors, I suppose. However, I would absolutely not use plastic anchors, and I would only use these lead anchors if I could. And the strike is obviously going to go in there. That's a lead anchor. That conical piece at the bottom is a bit too set inside of there for me to draw it out. Yeah, it's just set in there, which is where it's supposed to be. Yeah, so if I wanted to force this to come out, I could. It's a conical shape of lead that when you run the machine screw into it and tighten it down, it forces that flared out wider portion up into the body of it, of the lead anchor. And at that point, you are anchoring the unit to the floor. This has a outside diameter of about 0.49 inch, so I would be looking to drill a 1/2 inch hole. I would set these anchors, after I've positioned, marked my holes, drilled my holes, I would then set that, tap it down into the floor. Doesn't need to be any further below than flush. They do make a setting tool for lead anchors. You generally only get setting tools when you buy a box of lead anchors, which we're not a fastener supplier. But you need, what the setting tool is, just a piece of circular steel with a nipple on it that will set down into that hole so that you can tap it down. But once the anchor is set, you then just bring your machine screw, and you'll realize how permanent of an installation lead anchors are, and I would not use them unless I had no other choice. So be mindful of that, that they are the preferred method of installation for the floor strike. Now, that link to the product catalog will show us the table of the 4 models that I had previously mentioned, and it will list the individual door to floor clearance that each of them are compatible with. It also lists the finishes: US 3 for polished brass, US 4 for satin brass, US 10 for satin bronze, US 10B for oil rub bronze, and then US 26D for satin chrome, of which, of course, this one is US 26D. Then there's that 3478X that's there. That's the wall to door version. That would be appropriate when you don't want to or cannot install anything into the floor. Hospitals, as a rule, don't drill anything into the floor at all. Hospitals, as a rule, have fire-rated doors, so you would certainly not use this on any door that's fire-rated. Fire-rated doors must close by all means of activation, and means of activation that are permissible do not include, in an emergency, a human going and pulling the door off the holder. So you would never use this on a fire-rated door. I do have users like schools that when they open up the doors for recess, for student access, they will very commonly use these on those outside doors. They're robust, they're durable, they're basically very inexpensive considering how absolutely substantial of a piece of equipment that they are. Finally, there's a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up not only all of the DCI products that we sell, but also a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog. Any questions on the DCI number 3470X in a US26D finish, or any other DCI product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.